This letter is one I've been searching for a long time. Unfortunately, I was using Google to search and they misdirect you on anything important such as this. This is a letter from a man who was a boy during the time of the Spanish Influenza. And when the H1N1 scare came out during the presidency of Jimmy Carter, he wrote this letter to warn people about the truth. Now I'm reading from the first paragraph. All the doctors and people who were living at the time of the 1918 Spanish influenza epidemic say it was the most terrible disease the world has ever had. Strong men, hale and hearty one day, would be dead the next. The disease had the characteristics of the Black Death, added to typhoid, diphtheria, pneumonia, smallpox, paralysis, and all the diseases the people had been vaccinated with immediately following World War I. Practically the entire population had been injected, seeded with a dozen or more diseases or toxic serums. When all those doctor-made diseases started breaking out all at once, it was tragic. The pandemic dragged on for 2 years, kept alive with the addition of more poison drugs administered by the doctors who tried to suppress the symptoms. As far as I could find out, the flu hit only the vaccinated. Let me say that again. As far as I could find out, the flu hit only the vaccinated. Those who had refused the shots escaped the flu. My family had refused all the vaccinations, so we remained well all the time. We knew from the health teachings of Graham, Trail, Tilden, and others that people cannot contaminate the body with poisons without causing disease. When the flu was at its peak, all the stores were closed, as well as the schools, businesses, even the hospital, as the doctors and nurses had been vaccinated too and were down with the flu. No one was on the streets. It was like a ghost town. We seemed to be the only family which didn't get the flu, so my parents went from house to house, doing what they could to look after the sick. It was impossible to get a doctor then. If it were possible for germs, bacteria, virus, or bacilli to cause disease, they had plenty of opportunity to attack my parents when they were spending many hours a day in the sick rooms. But they didn't get the flu, and they didn't bring any germs home to attack us children and cause anything. None of our family had the flu, not even a sniffle, and it was in the winter with deep snow on the ground. When I see people cringe when someone near them sneezes or coughs, I wonder how long it will take them to find out that they can't catch it, whatever it is. The only way they can get a disease is to develop it themselves by wrong eating, drinking, smoking, or doing some other things which cause internal poisoning and lowered vitality. All diseases are preventable, and most of them are curable with the right methods, not known to medical doctors, and not all drugless doctors know them either. It has been said that the 1918 flu epidemic killed 20 million people throughout the world. But actually, the doctors killed them with their crude and deadly treatments and drugs. This is a harsh accusation, but it is nevertheless true, judging by the success of the drugless doctors in comparison with that of the medical doctors. While the medical men and medical hospitals were losing 33% of their flu cases, the non-medical hospitals, such as Battle Creek, Kellogg, and McFadden's Health Restorium, were getting almost 100% healings with their water cure, baths, enemas, etc., fasting, and certain other simple healing methods, followed by carefully worked out diets of natural foods. One health doctor didn't lose a patient in 8 years. If the medical doctors had been as advanced as the drugless doctors, there would not have been those 20 million deaths from the medical flu treatment. There was 7 times more disease among the vaccinated soldiers than among the unvaccinated civilians, and the diseases were those they had been vaccinated against. One soldier who had returned from overseas in 1912 told me that the Army's hospitals were filled with cases of infantile paralysis, and he wondered why grown men should have an infant disease. Now we know that paralysis is a common after effect of vaccine poisoning. Those at home didn't get the paralysis until after the worldwide vaccination campaign in 1918. Here's another article with some very interesting statistics comparing the effectiveness of homeopathic medicine versus traditional medicine. The Journal of the American Institute for Homeopathy, May 1921, had a long article about the use of homeopathy in the flu epidemic. Mr. T.A. McCann from Dayton, Ohio, reported that 24,000 cases of flu treated allopathically, this is the traditional way, had a mortality rate of 28.2%, meaning they're giving them pills and doing other things that they do in the hospital, and they lost 28.2% of all their patients inside the hospital. While 26,000 cases of flu treated homeopathically had a mortality rate of 1.05%. This last figure was supported by Dean W.A. Pearson of Philadelphia, of Hahnemann College, who collected 26,795 cases of flu treated with homeopathy with the above result. Dr. Herbert A. Roberts from Derby, Connecticut, said that 30 physicians in Connecticut responded to his request for data. They reported 6,602 cases with 55 deaths, which is less than 1%. Dr. Roberts was working as a physician on a troop ship during World War I. He had 81 cases of flu on the way over to Europe. He reported all recovered and were landed. Every man received homeopathic treatment. One ship lost 31 on the way. So in conclusion, if you would like to go read the full article of these two articles, both of them have really good, fascinating information in them, and I'm sure you will find them to be a good read. The first one is this site you can see here at the top of the page, stateofthenation.co, and the article is titled, Spanish Flu Genocide Was Really Caused by Vaccinations, January 26, 2020. So they've reposted this from elsewhere. And here, this website is called vaccinationinformationnetwork.com. You will probably never find either of these websites using Google. From now on, I'm going to be using dogpile.com. And this article is titled, Vaccines Caused 1918 Spanish Flu, Which Killed Millions. So this is the man from Modesto reminding you, as always, before you do anything, including getting vaccines or not getting vaccines or jumping up and down on the bed, it's best that you pray and ask God what's the right course of action. So pray or be defeated.